Hi everyone, my name is Anna Soliman. I'm an agency development lead for APAC here at Meta. I am going to facilitate a short panel today so I can ask Adrian some questions. Okay. If you still want to ask some questions, I'm sure, creators always get a lot of questions. Please send it to Mentimeter or just raise your hand. I mean, it's just us here in this room and also the hundreds of people in the Zoom as well. So Adrian's comfortable. I'm going to join you on stage, but I'm also going to pull in Michael Andrian. Michael, please go ahead. Michael is the CEO of Madebyhumans. Awesome.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here.
So while I'm going to my seat, Adrian, could you please tell us a little bit more about your work?
Yeah, my name is Michael, and I own a creative agency in Indonesia called Madebyhumans. We are 17 people, and we do a lot of AR campaigns. And we basically do bunch of things related with creative text, but AR has strike a good portion of accessibility and also innovation. That's why we do it a lot. And a lot of our work is design-based AR. So we augment everyday things. Our main clients are FMCG. Also film now, so we augment a lot of poster, working with Disney for example, like Marvel, and also we do Avatar, and you can also see the poster right on front. You can check it out yourself. In your goodie bag, there's also a postcard if you want to try it, how we augment a design-based AR. Yeah, that's a little bit made by humans.
Thank you. So Adrian was talking about building AR effects on Reels, but in some cases, actually, you build an effect, but no one ever sees it because the campaign actually isn't attached to the effect, or it's not being promoted by the brand. How do you deal with clients that are doing that? How do you encourage them to connect the AR effect, let's say, to their normal campaign? Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So usually what we do with campaigns for brands is that we create a full service campaign. So we have a education first before we encourage people to try it. Using influencer to educate them, but also if we are doing an offline design-based AR, for example, augmented reality poster, what we do is we create a clear instruction on how to do it, or we can also use. So before we go to the interaction, we go to kind of a Linktree bio page, where we have an instruction step by step on how to experience it, and you can try it yourself. If you scan my name card, you go to the Linktree, and then there's an instruction, and then you can go to the experience. So no message were missed, and everybody's clear on how to do it.
Great. I saw a lot of your. I took a picture of all of your advice, Adrian, on how you can do, how we can work together a lot better. And in our audience today, there's a lot of creative agency folks, also some media agency folks. I also came from a creative agency. When there's a campaign, it's super busy. There's so many things going on. So I wouldn't be surprised if some clients, they're probably not thinking of the connections across the different campaigns. So I would say you're an artist. As an artist, how influential are you in the decisions of, let's say, the agency and with the client for these things? And how do How do you encourage them to promote your work?
Well, it heavily depends on each campaign because sometimes they come in with very strong idea what they want, but sometimes they come in with a blank sheet. But it's also great to just build up on a campaign. So sometimes it's even really good when they come in quite late into the game and they say, so we have these graphics, we are planning this, but we have no idea what could be done in AR. And usually it's sometimes for us AR creators, it's just kind of obvious what you could put on top of the whole campaign with an AR effect to really bring it out and bring it up. And usually the client is very surprised by that. They are also surprised by the invoice. So, so one great tip would also be just allocate a little bit budget in the beginning, and because sometimes they think because it can be done so fast that it doesn't mean it's a lot of work. It's just if all the assets are already there, then I can just create the effect out of there. So it's done quite fast, but it's still a lot of work. So that would be great.
In the audience, do you have that experience where like the AR effect is the last thing that the clients are asking, or maybe not even asking, it's just an extra on the side and then they kind of give it away in the event? Speaking of, I mean, I don't know if you want to share this, but speaking of like cost and timings, is it a very broad range for both of you in terms of work? How fast is your turnaround time, for example, in certain cases? And does, you know, in terms of affordability, I think some clients might think it's a little bit intimidating in terms of cost. So how are the trends now in costs and timings?
Yeah, so with my agencies, we do have like a price list. So we structure like these different types of AR approaches into a category. So it's clear because I know like working with a lot of agencies, they need to set the budget straight. So they need to allocate some certain stuff. For the timing, I also have like an estimate. In our agency, we divide it into 3 categories. 2D based design, where every asset is 2D, takes around 1 to 2 weeks. 3D based design, where there's like a 3D object, takes like 3 to 4 weeks, and game based design takes a month and above. But this is like a rough estimate.
Got
give
it.
you an idea.
And for something like a Shiseido, how long would something like that take you, Adrian?
So the Shiseido effect took like a couple of weeks to create, but always the bigger issue is, especially with these kind of huge companies, is to get the rounds of feedback. This sometimes takes weeks and weeks. And the great thing is whatever I create, we can share test links, so the client can internally share it with their coworkers and with their seniors, and that's always great. Unfortunately, those test links always expire after like a certain amount of times it's used, or after a certain amount of just time, and many times I just get the email, can you send another round of test links?
Yes.
So I was like, okay. so you know that some meeting is happening.
Yes.
But so yeah, I think just as you said, I always say like a quite good amount of time is a month. That's quite safe. And budget-wise, I always depended highly on the project, but I also depended on how much creative influence they need from me, or how much feedback. Do I need to make mock-ups first, for example? In many cases, I just like pitch like 3 ideas and just Photoshop them, or if I just want to show some kind of feature in the effect, I just make very simple mock-ups. So that also influences the pricing for me. But I usually say like a month is very solid, and 2 weeks is doable, but they shouldn't expect like as Michael said, like 3D is a little bit more difficult then.
So I'm also kind of incorporating some of the questions we're getting here, and my next question is about standing out. Like there's so many filters, there's so many effects. I think the most common one is the beautification filter, right? Like
Okay.
when you're learning how to use Spark AR, that's probably one of the first things you're going to be doing. You're going to do a beautifying effect. So I'd love to know, like, out of the past work that you've done, what were the things that made your work stand out or be differentiated versus other filters? I'll start with you, Adrian.
Yes, I think in some cases it's not even just the effect itself. It's more like your body of work, and that's why I also showed other creators as well, to show that they have some kind of philosophy to themselves, and creating an effect out of that already makes the effect, in my opinion, like a little bit deeper, there's a little bit more behind it, and the creator's audience is interested in the campaign suddenly, and the brand and their audience also gets interested in the creator. I think it's some kind of, how to say, like a very sustainable ecosystem of mutual respect, and I think that works really, really great. And there are many good examples. I showed some. For me, still, the IPSA project felt very rewarding doing it, and it's just then, how to say, work suddenly gives a lot of joy when you are seeing your client is happy and you also enjoy it. I mean, there are also those effects that you send out and you will never ask them to tag you in there, but we don't talk about those today.
How about you, Michael?
So my approach to augmented reality is that this is a fairly new medium. So it's there's always a room to innovate. And I think what makes certain like projects stand out is because that we give like this new innovation and new approach to marketing. For example, before, I think like incorporating augmented reality poster for movies was still fairly new, especially in Indonesia. And specifically for movies, right? When we do marketing for movies, it's so expensive. The marketing budget for movies like more expensive than other like industries. Meanwhile, like when you're talking about poster for movies, a lot of like theater, they put up poster for free. So it becomes like a new avenue to do marketing, to do like guerrilla marketing, but you don't have to have like a kind of like additional cost for like the production studio. So think about like how this new medium can basically create new opportunities for doing marketing. Recently, like our studio focus on also like augmenting the sky. So augmenting the sky is still fairly new. This is a new approach for out of home. So we are looking for like collaboration for event. For events specifically, they're very sponsored based, right? So we can like incorporate sponsors to pay like this augmented reality experience. So it's kind of like a new way to do marketing and also like a new business model for them and very innovative and that makes like it stand out because it's a new approach. And then we're the client that we're servicing is the first one that done that, and it becomes like a
it's really interesting
innovation.
because you have different approaches. You're very specific to a style and possibly a signature. It's attached to the person who's building it, which is really, really interesting. And Michael, you're talking about the business side of it in terms of how do you make it stand out in certain touch points? How do you make AR kind of appear in the in a kind of a business plan?
Yes.
So it looks like there's a lot of opportunities to surprise the consumer, whether it's by a style or it's where it shows up. Any kind of AR effect that you've been jealous of recently that someone else did? And it's like, shoot, I wish I did that.
Yeah. Anything that Dennis made is always like breaking the rules for AR, I think.
I tagged him earlier. It's Inuiru, like don't choose a tag nobody can spend.
Yeah.
But he is like a spear person when he's even like hacking inside of Spark. So sometimes the world tracker that he's using is not the world tracker that is available in the software. He's hacked it into the software.
Yeah.
So it's kind of scary, but he's technically amazing.
Yeah.
And like pairing him with someone like Olga, who's style-wise so strong, that effect for, I think it was for Virginia.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the version? See, I'm not good with brands. That was so outstanding, style-wise and technically. So that was also really I was really jealous of. And the Dior one Casey mentioned earlier is done by Buck and like by the agency Buck, and Helena Dong is there, I think, the lead AR, or at least like a very important one. And they do also mind-blowing things. I think they also have the resources of people creating assets and coding. It's great.
I remember a conversation actually with an AR developer. He was on stage with a few creators, and then the creators were on screen a lot. Like they're the object of their materials, and then the AR creators like behind the scenes. But they're as famous as the people who are showing up in their reels. Like no one knows what they look like, but like their names are very famous amongst all of the AR developers and consumers as well. I think, I don't know how we are doing on time. I can't see Danielle. We have... I saw one. Okay, the question's back on. We have a question around kind of like being universally acceptable. Like, would you suggest an AR effect that's different per market? Or would there be successful effects that could go across Southeast Asia or across Asia? I think your Shiseido effect, was that meant for a Chinese audience?
Not really. I think that was
pretty universal.
It's quite universal. But I'm currently NDA. I'm currently working on other projects, and they were very scared about because it's like an effect that needs instructions, and I did the mistake to not explain that there are custom instructions. So in the first feedback round, they were like, "Yeah, but just so you know, those instructions, we're really scared if they're in English that they don't work in China and in Japan." But actually, Spark comes with custom instructions that are automatically translated for every region. So that problem is kind of eliminated there, and they are happy with it. So I don't have to make graphics. That's good. And but you also mentioned cultural nuances, and that's actually a very interesting topic, and it's also not easy to handle. I remember, for example, there's like a certificate. It's like a certificate for Spark, and one test question is like an effect where just eggplant emojis are falling down from the sky, and people from APAC, creators from, we were supposed to give feedback, and they were like, "I don't understand why this effect would be not appropriate." But like in Western culture, it might be a sexual symbol. So there are definitely nuances you have to be like aware of. And I think that's at the end of the day kind of our job, and we have to kind of communicate that with the client also.
Thank you. I think a lot of our audiences here, like creative agency folks, are usually the ones that are that have their finger on the pulse when it comes to their consumers. So a lot of the time, our creatives are usually telling us that, that you can't use that in Vietnam. So I would say we'd partner with the agencies to get these kinds of insights. Any advice on that, Michael, in terms of, do you go per market? Do you go very specific, or are there filters that are just kind of, it'll work anywhere?
So my approach on it is, we need to understand the audience first, but also strike a balance between like pushing the boundary. Because if we just, in Indonesia specifically, I've been in this market for quite some time, and if we don't like innovate, there wouldn't be like a common augmented reality poster or augmented reality packaging or postcard. you need to kind of like educate slowly, step by step. Also like take that risk, but also you need to consider the strategy that comes behind it, because you can balance it out. If you want to take some risk, then you need to think about every touch point on how to make it work. Then after that you kind of like pushing the industry forward by educating it. For example, like I think when we did like poster for the first time, it wasn't like it wasn't a very common method until we do the marketing for this is for a horror film called KKN di Desa Penari, which is this is the highest grossing film of all time, and we did the pre-launch campaign using augmented reality poster.
Everyone
and
copy you after that.
After that, yeah, Disney like approach us and yeah.
Right.
So
Now we're talking.
so they wanna try to innovate, and I wouldn't necessarily say like copy, because it is a very valid method to do marketing, but it's just new, and yeah, people don't know when to start. So we need to convince them as a creator and business owner.
So Michael, is that your advice for the audience today to wrap up? Like if you have one sentence to give our agency audiences and some clients today, what would your advice be?
Yeah, I would say so augmented reality is part of experiential marketing. It's something that you don't just see or watch, but you experience. So think about new ways to kind of like innovate. This is your time to do some creative, like pure creativity, because like this is a new medium, and you can start a new wave of strategy to do marketing.
Thank you. And to round us all off, Adrian, any last words?
Yeah, I think AR fits basically anywhere. And at this point, a lot of creators and agencies, we already have quite a lot of experience since like the couple of years ago when it all started. So I think it's even okay to not think so much in the beginning of a campaign about it, but kind of allocate a very high budget, but like allocate some money, and like at the end of the campaign, quite at the end of it, when a lot of it is decided, it's just great to like add it on top of it. And it's very, at least in my experience, it's usually a very smooth process, especially when a lot of the campaign is already decided. And you can just rely on that. At this point, there are so many creators and agencies out there which will just add this extra layer of value onto the whole campaign. He's really great. I'm kind of okay. So yeah, I think it's just relying on it is really the future.
I do want to mention one other stuff though. We've been doing like augmented reality ads and also like normal AR integrated with Reels. So if you create like AR with Reels, you can see all the people that created the Reels with your AR. So there's like a kind of like an AR gallery. So it's very integrated marketing, and we use it a lot to see how people are using our campaign, so we can give a review. And also we've been doing like Reels campaign using AR because it's kind of like branded, so that you can kind of like track the campaign more easily with Reels.
Cool. So thank you both for all of your advice today. I hope the audience is able to get something useful from that. Maybe encourage you to give Adrian and Michael a call and work together on some of your brands. Thank you very much. Thank you.